All right. How are you guys doing? All good? I know I'm in between you and lunch, so I'll try to keep it light. So thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys coming. So my name is Mario. I work for Amazon. I would say that I was probably destined to work with games, as I'm Italian. My name is Mario, and my dad's name is Luigi. True story. Anyway, I'm very excited to be here to talk to you about the case for adding competitive elements to your game. Why is that important? So I guess that we're all in this room because we love games, right? We're gamers ourselves, we're marketeers that work in the world of games. And if you think about game itself, what is at the base of gaming in general? Is competition. Is it just competition with yourself if you're playing a single player game? Sometimes it's competition against other players in case of multiplayer games. Actually, this is something that goes beyond the world of gaming. It corroborates the words of sports as well. Think about football, big thing here in UK. If you're a football fan, you want your team to win and to defeat the other team. If you're a football player yourself, you absolutely want to give your best and win. And why is that? Because at the end, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to demonstrate that they're great at what they're doing. And at the end, as game developers and as game marketers, what is that we really want? We want passionate players. We want to get to those power users, right? We want to get really engaged with games, that really get into it, and spend time and possibly money in it. So how do we get these guys? How do we get the power users? So as you can imagine, at Amazon, we do a lot of events like this, like Pocket Gamer, between me and my colleague Mike, which is also in the room. We do a lot of talks and presentations. Sometimes we have booths where we demonstrate our devices. At Amazon, we have a lot of devices like the Amazon Fire tablets and Fire TV, and we showcase those. So a funny thing happened at some of these events. We were showcasing mobile games to demonstrate the capabilities of our devices. A lot of these games are very simple, hyper-casual games. Some of those don't even feature a competitive element to it. But the interesting bit is that people coming to our booths were starting playing against each other using games that were not built for a competitive element at all. So we started thinking about that. Said, okay, so there is value per se in competition, but a lot of developers have issues bringing competition to their games. Maybe, again, a game does a competitive element. So how can Amazon help you there? So we sort of wanted to street test this. We wanted to verify that this intuition was right. So we actually ran one of the first mobile games esports competition called Champions of Fire. Oh, with no audio. Anyway.
Last 2 seconds. It's over. Fox is your Amazon Champions of Fire Invitational Champions.
So as you've seen here, these people were playing games like Fur Ninja and other kind of games, like some of them were playing Crossy Road, like games which don't have a real competitive element to it. But they were competing against each other using these games in dedicated sessions. So we said, okay, how can we bring this to everyone? How can Amazon enable all game developers, doesn't matter the platform, doesn't matter the game engine, doesn't matter the game, to get a competitive element to it? So that's why last year at GDC, we introduced GameOn. So what is GameOn? It's a set of flexible APIs that allows any game developer to easily build cross-platform competitions into their game. And what's the added value from Amazon? Well, is that you can award both digital in-game prizes, but also physical prizes, which are shipped and fulfilled by Amazon. So we know a couple things about shipping stuff. So we thought, why don't we give this power to our developers? So there are 3 main components of GameOn, and if you think about it, this is also three of the most important things for a game developer in general. Scale. So GameOn Scale as your game scales. Is built on top of Amazon Web Services. Even there, we know a couple things about cloud computing. So the entirety of GameOn is built on top of AWS. As your game scales, if on day one you have 10 million players, on day two you have 100 million players, well, I wish you have, no problem as GameOn scales gracefully. Allows you to do organic acquisition. I will touch that in a little bit. There are many ways through which GameOn allows you to acquire new customers. But most importantly, is about engagement. Adding a game just allows you to retain more players and to engage with them in a lot of different ways. This is what GameOn is. Cross-platform API allows you to build, mainly revolves around competition. We'll deep dive in them in a second. Allows you for a lot of other interesting, cool features like user-generated competition. Allows you to deliver rewards and also provides a set of tools and dedicated dashboard for you to use. So cross-platform API. Why did we go the API way? Because, again, we wanted to make this available to everyone. A lot of services provide dedicated SDKs. But we thought, if you're building a game for console, PC, mobile, even what if you're building an Alexa voice game? You might want to add competition to that one as well. So GameOn is built on a RESTful API. If your system or your platform, the framework you're using to build the game, can make an HTTPS call, you can use GameOn. Full documentation for our API. You can find it on our developer portal. Very, very easy to use. And again, the core message here is that we don't want to lock you in on a specific platform. It doesn't matter which game engine you're using. It matters what you're creating. One of the first adopters of GameOn, one of our launch partners, has been Survival Arena, and they integrated GameOn tournaments on the desktop version of their game and also on the mobile version. This also allows for cross-play. It's entirely up to you as a developer if you want to allow cross-play or not, but most developers do, and it's very easy to do. So GameOn revolves around competition, around adding competition to your game. So mostly revolves around the creation of leaderboards. You can create teams, you can create leagues as well. You can rank players by any metric. So if you're building a racing car, the metric could be lap. If you're building if you're building a skill-based game, it could just be the highest score. It's entirely up to you how you define these variables, and it's very easy to create them. You can set the number of attempts, so say, in order to participate to this tournament, you only have 5 tentatives. After that, sorry, you need to wait for the next tournament. You can invite winners to multiple rounds, so you can build literally leagues and tournaments. And you can also schedule recurring tournaments to happen automatically. If you're working with game live ops, you know how setting up tournaments can be painful, but GameOn removes that friction by allowing you to reschedule tournaments the easy way. We've been working with Gear Club for last year, and they were looking for a very easy way to bring competition to their game. And they use GameOn. As you will see in a bit, we will share some insights about how they were performing. They were very happy about both the speed in development, but also how easy it was to adopt the game. Oops. So now, so let's say that you want to create a game, that you're building your game, and you want to create specific requirements for people to enter tournaments. So let's say, for example, that we want to build a tournament just for PocketGamer. You could do that because you can use a location-based tournament, which is based on GPS coordinates, if your game, of course, is capable of getting a GPS coordinate based on the user device. You can set a radius around a specific geo point and say, you need to be physically there to participate to that tournament. Or you can use any custom criteria. So let's say, for example, again, we want to build a tournament just for the greater Seattle area where the Amazon headquarters is. This is an example of how you would set up your entry requirement for the tournament. You just put a name, a description. You say that the type of entry requirement is GPS-based and GPS coordinates-based. You put the center of the radius and then define the radius in kilometers. It could be in, I don't know, meters or whatever you want, and a radius around it. So in this case, it's 10 kilometers from the center of Seattle. What if you have a specific variable in your game which says that a player is a VIP, maybe is a power user? What if you want to create a tournament just for your top paying customers? You can do that. If you define a variable, in this case that says that the status needs to be VIP and only those customers will be shown the tournament. Or what is the opposite? What if the player is an entry-level player? You can just define that their league needs to be between, for example, 0 and 10, depending on how you rank their skills in-game based on how they're performing. So as you can see, you can completely and totally customize the entry requirements. When we launched this service at GDC, Power Rangers Legacy Wars actually made a geofence around the GDC conference, and they ran a tournament with physical prizes that you could only win at GDC. So imagine how you use this feature as a developer to create specific events. Think about what this also means for influencers as well. And why is that important? So we just seen in this conference there's been many talks about the importance of influencers and in general about user-generated content. So as GameOn allows you both as a developer to create your own tournaments and define tournaments, but if you want, you can also enable user-generated competitions. So anyone could create, for example, I want to create a tournament just with my friends, and I can do that just with my family, just with my coworkers, happening just at work, at my office, for example. But more importantly, this appeals to influencers and to streamers. So I don't know if you guys ever heard about a service called Twitch, which is also powered by Amazon. Actually, we just released a Twitch integration for GameOn. So this means that if your game supports the game and the user-generated tournaments, streamers can share tournaments with their followers. They just need to share a credential, which is just a code, and then players can connect their Twitch account to a specific tournament and start playing in the same tournament where their favorite influencer is. So how do you do that? Just need to integrate GameOn and allow user-generated content. Very, very powerful. But probably the most powerful feature is what I mentioned already, which is the real-world pricing. So you can create tournaments, you can fund real-world prizes, and get those prizes shipped to the winners of your tournaments. You can also award in-game currency or in-game prizes, and that's available everywhere, because right now the only caveat is that real-world prizes is available only to US customers. This means that even if you're UK-based developers, you can leverage real-world pricing by working with Amazon and ship real-world prizes to you. While the digital in-game prizes are available anywhere. You can do that anywhere GameOn is available. And a GameOn console. We know that creating tournaments is painful, so we wanted to take out that pain. So we built an entire separated GameOn console from our Amazon developer portal, which is very easy to use. Actually, you don't need to be a developer to use it. You don't even need to be really tech savvy to use it. It can be given to non-developers as well to run in-game competition. So for example, we have a interface that allows you, in this case, for example, to create tournaments in the greater Seattle area and to give access only to VIP players through a dedicated UI. Or another thing that I mentioned before is recurring tournaments. How do you do that? There is a dedicated UI as well. You can choose a specific day of the week where you want to run tournaments. In this case, for example, we decide that we want to repeat every week, only in the weekends, after 10 weekends. We can do that just in a few clicks, in a few seconds. Everything that I'm showing here, I just want to make this very clear, is also available through the API. So you can do this through the UI or completely programmatically from your game or from your live ops manager or whatnot. So pricing, of course, how does it work? How you can start using it, but how do you pay for it? So we had to, since it's a new model, we had to think about a new pricing model for GameOn. So basically, it revolves around posting a score. Every time a player posts a score, that counts as one posted score, or count as a single play. The first 35,000 plays per month are free, and that's available for the first 6 months of your play. After that, you start paying only for what you use, a third of a penny per submitted score. Keep in mind that usages of the API are free. So if you're pulling a leaderboard, or if you are, I don't know, if you're pulling a team or a result, or you're shipping a prize, all of that API is free. It's just based on how many scores do you submit. So this is actually pretty generous if you start playing with it. If you want to exactly know how would this match your game, we have a dedicated dashboard on the Amazon developer portal for GameOn. So we have a lot of partners which are already using GameOn. This is just some of our launch partners, but we want to democratize the use of GameOn and to make it available even to the single developer working in the garage, to the indie developer. So some case studies. Why is it important? So we're here because you want to hear about, you said, okay, this is great, like the whole sales speech, that's cool. Does it actually work? Does it actually allow me to retain customers and to, So some case studies here. Recently we were working with Warfiends, and they launched real-world pricing in their game. And the results were actually pretty impressive. Free-to-play conversion shot up 106% month over month. Average revenue per daily user increased by 17% day over day. Average revenue per paying user skyrocketed over 500%. And session time increased by over 20%. And that's because they actually did a pretty smart thing. They were running tournaments only during the weekends, but during the week, they were advertising that there will be tournaments happening, and they were suggesting players to skill up in order to prepare for the tournament. That's a pretty interesting. We didn't advise them to do. It was entirely their strategy, and it worked out fine. Another one, Gear Club. So Gear Club were already running tournaments in the past. Their developer, Eden Games, but they reported 20% increase in retention when they added real-world prizes via GameOn. And also, they were really happy they didn't have to do any update on the client side when it were to add the new tournaments or new events, because everything was done dynamically via the API itself. They were just using a Java client to connect to the GameOn API, which is pretty efficient. But now, I've been talking about API, and I said, yes, we don't want to lock you in any SDK, in any platform. You can use whatever you want. But actually, after a few months, we got some feedback from developers, and this feedback was, yes, but at the end, I keep using the same game engines, and if I need to use specific game engine and connect to the API, would it be easier to have something like a wrapper that does that? So we've been listening to that, and we've been working with a UK-based game engine maker, which is Game Maker Studio, and I'm pleased to announce that starting right now, we have the first GameMaker plugin, the first GameOn plugin, and this is the GameMaker Studio 2 plugin, which extremely simplifies the addition of the GameOn API to any Maker Studio-based game. We've been working with them. We've been, working together. The guys at Yo-Yo Games have been amazing in supporting the integration of GameOn. And they provide a plugin that includes a demo project and objects, rooms, and scripts, which are pre-made and allows you to start using GameOn literally in a few minutes. You just need to download the plugin from the library, add your GameOn public key, which is your API key, basically, and then you have a dedicated demo project with a series of buttons and features that allows you to submit your first score, to test your first tournaments, to build teams, and even to test the shipping and fulfillment of digital and real-world pricing. So it is available right now. It's free for download and use. And again, you can find it here. Don't worry, I'll be sharing these slides pretty much anywhere. If you go on the Yo-Yo Games website, you can find it and download. And there is full documentation there and also on the Amazon website. So if you want to know more about GameOn, we have a full tech documentation reference for the API, the dedicated GameOn console, and even a dedicated Amazon customer service support. That's another thing that we do pretty well at Amazon, customer service. So if you have any question, any problem, you can reach out directly to me or contact our customer support. So this is it. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. And I really hope that you will start playing with GameOn and adding competitive elements to your game. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.